this floor drain here?
Right.
More than likely that box on the wall, that little door, is housing a little plumbing device that drips slowly water and drips it down into, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And it just clears that drain?
It doesn't clear it.
What?
It keeps it with water in the trap
Yeah.
part of it, so that the fumes don't come back.
Okay.
Yeah. The trap is made
Yeah.
with the trap, and that's called the weir of the trap, and it wants to maintain water in it at all the times, stops the fumes from coming out. So this thing, it's activated by a pressure drop. So it's coming off of the washing machine. Every time the washing machine turns on and takes on water, it drops the pressure in the whole system just a little bit. This thing will release a little bit of water, maybe a half a cup, maybe a cup of water at the most, and then gravity feeds down into the side of the trap, and it just keeps the trap sweetened, what we call it, and so you don't get fumes coming up out of it.
So if you ever do start smelling fumes, it would always be in a floor drain like this. That means that water's not getting in there. So either it could happen if nobody was using this laundry room, or it could be the trap primer.
Could be the trap primer's plugged up.
So, and can those be repaired, or do they have to be replaced?
They need to be replaced. There's really not much inside that you can clean out. It's got a bunch of little screens in it, and usually once you take them apart, it fouls the seals and whatnot, and then the whole thing doesn't work properly. It's usually easier just to replace them. But you'd have to take it out to take it apart anyway, so it'd be just as cheap to replace the thing. It's got a union on it at the bottom, so you break the union, unscrew the piece out of the female adapter there.
Okay.
And it's got little, just quarter turn ball valves marked hot and cold, and they just turn just like the gas valve or any of the lever valves. Think about this as being crossways to the pipe here. You just rotate it so it's parallel, and that'll be in the on position.
Yeah, it's a little deceptive, huh? Because normally if it's going the length of the pipe,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so that one really is almost opposite,
Right.
looks-wise at least.
You just have to think about the pipe going this way as opposed to going this way.
So there's only good one.
It has a plug in it. It's got a same type of valve on the back outside that is much like this one. When you turn it to the out, swing it out to the out position, it's parallel with the run coming out of the wall, which would put it in the on position. So that's where it turns off there. And this box is just for the dryer vent. Yeah, these are flushing on they have a motion sensor, and they also have they also have a button that would override the motion sensor. And the same on this one, the urinal.
Do you think that's like that because there's a trap primer in there, or?
Trap primer's up here. There's a valve in here
No.
that,
I wonder why they did them differently though. Oh, just because that's a urinal.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
See, you're already there.
So same thing, you guys. If you started smelling fumes in here, there's the trap primer.
Trap
I
primer.
never knew that.
Yeah. And this has an aerator just like the other things.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you think that is underneath there?
I'm guessing that's another trap primer. I'm wondering if there's someplace protective coating for the, so you don't get burnt. Yeah, that just pops off forward. It's got some Velcro or something holding it on there. It just pulls off. That this is connected, it pushes on something internally, but the valve is back inside the wall.
Okay, for that time. All right. Good. And the women should be similar to this, just without the urinal.
Good stuff.
And are those like angle stops on the top of those?
Yeah, these are shut-off valves to work on this. You know, they take a loose key for somewhere that there should be a key for these.
Yeah.
That it should be with the
Yeah, it's one little
square
like a
drive.
handle, yeah.
Yeah. And it's just a,
Has to be that.
and they're, looks like they're off. At least the hot is. Nope, not the hot is.
Those are some drain lines, huh? From somewhere.
And do you normally provide the short hose, or is that the owner's responsibility?
That usually does not come with this.
Okay,
I can look into it.
all right.
I'll look into it. So if you wanted to service either one of the hot and the cold washers under here, there's shut-off valves right here.
Yeah, probably they give me one handle there for,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and hose for
Yeah,
this.
and then these are probably condensate lines from the air
Right.
conditioners that just drain into there.
Right.
So those will probably drip during the summer quite a bit when it gets hot,
Yeah.
when the air conditioning's running. That's where they go right into that sink. The drinking fountains, we just very simply push the button, both of them. May not be on all the way.
These don't appear to have chillers, right?
No,
So there's
well,
gonna be
they're
tap
gonna,
water.
yeah, room temperature water.
And is the flow adjustable?
There is an adjustment underneath.
So you have to take the bottom off, and is it just basically the angle stop? You just squeeze it, turn it down? a little bit?
Exactly,
Okay,
exactly. And you don't want to get it too high, obviously you'll
right.
slop out there. And then there's a clean out for the drain right here. Take that off, there'll be a clean out plug behind that. You can snake it if it gets slow running there.
Okay, good.
Sensors here and here. One of them turns it on. Put your cup in here when the water gets up to the level. Up here, it automatically shuts off. Senses the water up in the bottle. And then when the filter needs replacement, it will activate the little light here. There's 4 screws, 2 on the side, 2 on the top. The whole unit lifts off, and there's a replaceable quarter turn style cartridge inside there.
Yeah.
That's something that the maintenance people could do
Yeah,
easily, yeah.
yeah,
And in the paperwork for it, it'll tell you
that's right.
what filter you need, or if it needed to be serviced, these people could come out and service it
Yeah.
also.
I don't think it's a big deal.
No, it shouldn't be a problem at all to do that.
Did they have any idea how?
How many
I know-
gallons of
I know
water?
It depends on how much it's used, but.
Yeah. No, I don't know, and he didn't tell me,
I guess you
Dan.
just, when the light goes on.
Yeah. Most of them are typically, a small filter like this is probably good from 300 to 500 gallons, depending on the water
Yeah, probably.
and on the hardness of the water, how much it's filtering out.
And you may have said this already, but did you say where you get the filters?
No, I didn't, and I'm not, you'd have to look and see what filter it is, but
Yeah.
I'm sure that either a Home Depot or a Ferguson plumbing supply store would have it, either one.
I just replaced the filter in my refrigerator, and when I took it out, I just punched the numbers into Google. And
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
yeah.
so,
Love Google.
and this just has a shut off right here that when you work on it, typical of the common throughout underneath the sinks in the toilet, it turns off.
Yeah.
This one is a quarter turn, so that'll be in the on position, that'll be in the off position. And then you could take it apart and service the filter, put it back together.
Good.
And obviously they have to get a plug there for that, plug it in, be able to use it.
This little can there is a filter, huh?
What's that?
This little can there is a filter?
This?
Yeah,
No, that's a storage tank.
okay.
This is a reverse osmosis filter system.
Uh-huh.
It's got 3 canister filters, a filter, a carbon, and a,
Sand, probably.
I want to call it a post-wash filter that goes through a membrane that is actually the reverse osmosis part of it. It's got a charcoal filter and a pre-filter and a post-filter is what that is. And it goes through all of those through the membrane, and it fills up the storage tank. The storage tank has got a rubber bladder in it, and as this takes a little bit of time to force the water through the membrane of the reverse osmosis, so it has to store water to be able to use it, because it's going to take a little bit of time, sometimes an hour, hour and a half to actually fill that up. So if you exhaust that tank, it's going to run out of water. Leave it off, it'll recharge itself in time. But it uses that 5-gallon tank for storage. And
the purpose of that is to filter the water?
Yes, very, very, it filters out everything.
Yeah.
It's reverse osmosis. It takes pretty much all the minerals, all the heavy metals. I mean, it's a very, very, very fine filter that it uses for the reverse osmosis.
And how often do those cartridges have to be replaced?
It depends on usage. If it's a household with a couple, 3 people in it, and they drink a lot of water, probably ought to be replaced annually, the filters.
But this is a community center, so it's going to be getting a lot more use than that.
Yeah, it might have to get every 6 months.
How do they know when it needs to be replaced?
It'll slow down, and it'll just get slower and slower, how much water it'll produce, because it starts getting blocked up.
Okay.
And it has its own dedicated little faucet.
Oh, that's what that is?
That's what this is, just the faucet for that.
Oh, I see. So ideally, that would be for just drinking water, cooking, not for washing dishes, you would.
Oh, no. No, you want to just, you can run this out of water. Like I say, you've only got, really have whatever sits in that tank. If you drain that tank out, it'll go down to just a trickle, and it'll take time to fill it back up. And as those get dirtier and dirtier, it takes longer and longer for it to recharge, and eventually, if you let it get too dirty, it won't recharge the tank. It'll just stop.
You'll know.
Yeah. But it has its own, and it only wants to be used for drinking water, making coffee, anything that you would cook with water, you could use that. But you don't want to use it for washing your hands or doing dishes with it. You use
you have that. Yeah.
conventional faucet. And again, this faucet is like the common throughout. Same thing, the aerator unscrews if it gets a very slow stream or a split stream. Take it apart, flush any particles off the back side of it. Make sure you get the washer in there and tighten it back up, and that'll take care of that. Yeah. This little cap on the side here is what they call the air gap. It makes a positive break between the water supply that goes to the dishwasher and the drain line. The drain line comes up and ties into this, and it gravity feeds from the air gap down to the disposer. And that positive break, because of this unit has a water supply to it, it has to have a positive break, so you can never have back siphonage if something should ever happen out in the street, starts drawing water out. Without this, hooked directly to the sewer, there could be an instance where the sewer was plugged up and it would draw dirty water back through the dishwasher into the main supply line. It would get contaminated. So that's what this little cover here covers, this, what they call an air gap. And it's got a positive break between the two. It hits the top, and then it gravity feeds back out. And if this line, if you start getting liquid out of this thing into the sink, it's because the line from the air gap to the disposer or the disposer itself is plugged up. It can't drain out. It'll flow out of here. But it's a safety item.
And that looks like a heavy-duty garbage disposal that should operate similarly, right?
Yeah. Yeah, same thing. This is like, I can't read the name on it, but it's like probably a 111 or some kind of a stainless with a lot of insulation on it. It operates basically the same way. It's got the same reset button on the bottom, and it would have the same crank apparatus underneath it to unjam it if that's required.
These are nice units too.
This is a very high recovery unit here, and it's all automated. It just has an off and on switch. You can adjust the temperature up and down on this, and it'll also you can read codes on this thing the same way, and it'll tell you everything it's doing, how much it's burning, and how much it's used, and how much it.
You don't have to fix it there. You have to play with this.
Right. This adjusts the temperature up and down, and it'll different readouts here can tell you what the whole thing is doing. It's got a super high efficiency burner in the thing. I think it's like 97% efficient, something like that.
Yeah.
And it's a very high recovery. It won't run out of hot water. It's hooked up to there's a circulating pump right here. So it has constant hot water flowing through the whole system. This would be a shut-off valve for the circulating line. And it's got a valve on top and a valve on bottom. Should you need to service the pump, you can shut the water off to the pump. And that was our walkthrough of the building and all the plumbing maintenance that will be done. And if you have any problems or questions, contact our service department at 951-509-3199. We have 24-hour service, and we can answer any questions or take care of problems. Thank you.